Welcome to Spiritual Sunday, where we're going to talk about the statistics and geography of the world religions. We're going to be very surface level. We're not going to get into the nitty gritty of details. Some things are not going to be totally accurate. We're going to just move through it all and just kind of have a broad understanding. I just want to paint a broad understanding before we get into the more nitty and gritty videos out there. We need a broad understanding so we are on the same page. Okay, so this is what we're going to do today. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Oh my
goodness. All right, so we all know what religion is, right? We've grown up in this world and you're watching this YouTube. So if you know what YouTube is, you know what religion is. But let's get down on a base level what religion is. So here's a great definition. A personal set or institutionalized system of religious attitudes, beliefs, and practices. The number 2 definition for this is the service and worship of God, or the supernatural commitment or devotion to a religious faith or observance, and the state of religious as a nun in her 20th year of religion. But I believe the first one kind of gets the point. Either way, we're going to move on from that and move on to my definition of religion, which is just belief in some spiritual entity or realm, or the non-belief in that spiritual entity or realm, and most with traditions and practices. Again, this is my definition. I think it kind of encompasses most things. So yeah, this is the definition that I'm going to move forward with as my understanding on this channel of what religion is. Now, if you go ahead and you Google how many religions are there, you're going to find the answer to be around 4,000, right? Which is just incredible. That being said, with those 4,000, we're really going to focus on the top 8 major religions and subgroups that we have. They're not all religions, but we'll get into it. We're going to discuss the 8 religions, and we're going to start from the top to the bottom here on this just for population of each one. So we're going to start with Christianity, 2.4 billion, it's 30.1% of the world population. Islam, 1.9 billion, 23.8%. Unaffiliated or agnostic atheists, 1.19 billion, that's about 14.9%. Hinduism, 1.16 billion, 14.3%. Buddhists, 500 million, 6.3%. Folk, 750 million, about 9.4%. Judaism, 15 million, 0.18%. Other 35 million, 0.44%. And Sikhism, 25 million, 0.31%. Now, I said 8 earlier, but I really meant 9, right? And the problem with this, and I just wanted to bring it up momentarily, is that when you look up religious things, they usually have Sikhism included in the other category, which would be fine and dandy, except they have Judaism as a significant other partner. A lot of maps come out for it, a lot of information about Judaism. The problem I have with it, Sikhism has 25 million, so 10 more million, almost double the amount. So if they're including that, I'm going to include Sikhism. Here's a little picture. I like it. I wanted to show it to you. It's not every religion, but it's, the top 7 kind of religions and their text. Just to kind of give you a actual visual of the size differences between, Christian, Muslim, Hindu. Just the size differences that we're really truly talking about are these book differences. So if you see the Bible, that thing's massive. You see the Quran, it's also pretty significant. Just slightly smaller. And then you see like that Jewish little tiny Tanakh over there. And then again, folk religions, way smaller. You see the picture. I just thought it was cool to look at. Let's move forward. All right, so the first map we have here is the map of the world, and each country is highlighted in the most populated religion of that country. So if you look at China, for instance, it actually says non-religion, because there's more non-religious people there, but Buddhism is huge in the country as well. So just because it's the colored that religion doesn't mean other practices don't practice. But if you look right, we have all the Americas, Southern Africa, Australia, Europe, Russia, all with Christianity as the number 1 religion. And if you see in the Middle East, most of it is Islam, and throughout top of Africa, as well as Indonesia over there, between the Indian and Pacific Ocean, which is pretty pretty crazy. Of course, we have Hinduism in India being pretty big, and Buddhism surrounding China as well. But just looking at this map kind of gives you an idea of where the majority of each religion really has a holding in. So that being said, we're going to move into the individual religions here. We're going to go ahead and we're going to start with the oldest and move forward and just see where that takes us, okay? All right, so Hinduism, the map of Hinduism really shows you the significance in India being more than 70%. And then we have the breakdown of the other countries, kind of just like, Canada has a little bit, Saudi Arabia, Australia, Guyana down there in South America. That's pretty significant. It's just kind of interesting to see where it spread after all of these years. As I said, Hinduism is one of the oldest religions, dating back to 5000 BC in the Indus River civilization, got its roots from there. So in India is where it really came from. One of the biggest notable figures of the religion is Brahma. He's the creator god. They do have some religious texts. The Vedas is one of the bigger texts that they have, and they believe in a resurrection type of style of afterlife, after death. You go ahead and be reborn into something else. So if you look at here, I have the top 10 countries for this religion. So India by far has a billion, almost 1.1 billion Hindus in India. Obviously the biggest group out of everyone. Then it shoots way down to 28 million with Nepal. I'm not going to really read through the list here, but you can go ahead and see it. United States is number 7. That's pretty cool. All right, we're going to move on to Judaism. The second oldest religion here, 1800 BC is by most estimates. Some people put it further than that. They believe in one God. It was the God of Abraham. Their holy book is the goodness gracious. Their holy book is the Tanakh. I could not say that to save my fucking life. And their afterlife's pretty complex. Some believe in a heaven and a hell. Some don't believe in any. Some believe that certain prophets go to heaven, not everybody. So it's a complex understanding of it. And I'm just going to say it's a personal belief of what really happens. So they were formed in Judea, again, back in the 1800s. And even to this day, Israel is the biggest country here. If we look at the map, you can see not many places are even lit up. Now, if you look at the map, you can see that literally almost only Israel's lit up. America, Canada, and Belize, if you look down there, have a little bit more than 1%. Out of all the major religions, this one isn't very spread out, and it's not very populated, but it does have some culture significance. Again, it is kind of the offspring religion, or the precursor to Christianity and Islam in some ways. So, all right, so Buddhism, it was created in India, northern India, about 500 BC, 500 to 600 BC, and Buddha, he created the religion, right? He was the founder of the religion. He was actually born a Hindu, as were everyone in that area at the time, so it's not out of the norm, but it did kind of stem from some Hindu understandings of how life works, and has definitely morphed into its own thing. But again, it's cool to see how these are connected. Tripitaka is their main text, if you will, but they do have many different texts. They also believe in resurrection, and just like the circle of life type of deal. One thing about it, if you look at the top 10 countries here, China is the number 1, even though on the earlier map it said non-religious. It's because, again, non-religious is more popular than Buddhism in China, but China is still the most populated Buddhist country. All right, we're going to move on to Christianity, or the religion of Jesus and the followers of Jesus. The religion really started around 25 AD. The Bible, the most printed book in the world, is their holy book. It was made in modern day Israel, but back then it was Judea, and it was a province of Rome, right? So it was really Rome in a way that created the religion. And we can see that in the way Vatican City is in the center of Italy and next to Rome, and it's very tied to the Roman world. Now, it is the most populated religion in the world at the moment, And if we look at a map again, it's really the North Americans, Europe, South Americans, South Africa, Australia, the Philippines too, but it is over the whole entire globe. All right, next up we have Islam. It was created around 600 AD, so it's a little bit newer than Christianity. That was created by Muhammad. Their holy text is the Quran. They do believe in afterlife. And again, they are the second most populated religion in the world. If we look at their map here, you can see it's mostly, again, in North Africa and the Middle East, but Indonesia has a huge population down there. And it is also spread throughout the world, just like Christianity is, just different regions for its population groups. If we look at the top 10 for the countries here, we have Indonesia, and then it's followed up by India. Isn't that wild? When you think of Islam, you really don't put in your head, at least from like an American point of view, Indonesia and India. So it's kind of just cool to see that. Pakistan's right under that. Next one up is Sikhism. It was founded by Guru Nanak, and it was founded on the border of India and Pakistan, present day lines. Their holy book is actually seen as the last guru in their religion. So that's pretty cool. And it was founded in 1500 AD, so it's very, very significantly newer than almost every other religion that we have here. About 900 years newer than Islam. Just saying. It's crazy. Wild stuff. But they do have 25 million people, which is pretty significant. Pretty freaking significant. And they also believe in like a resurrection type style for their afterlife system. Next category is other. This category, again, usually had Sikhism in there. I took it out for the reasons I stated earlier, but it has Wiccan, Jainism, a lot more religions, more structured religions, just smaller. So they get put into a huge group called Other. Now, they do have a map, right? So if we go ahead and look at this map. All right, so looking at this map, they have Sikhs inside of this. So India is a huge portion, but they do have a huge population. So it's just, North Korea, Taiwan, a little bit of Africa, a little bit of South America. The major religions really take up the whole world. So these are just like little pockets. We also have folk religions. This is a huge population with 750 million across the world, mostly in Africa, South America, China, and South China area, into China. You have Vietnam down there. So these religions, there's many, just like the other religions. So don't really have any texts or books here or notable figures. There's just so many different religions pushed into here. And again, the same sure applies to the afterlife. Some people believe in it. Some people believe in heaven. Some people believe in resurrection. So it's just a very, very large term for a lot of different faiths and religions in there. Kind of a catch-all. We might think of these religions as like old school or like antique, but they're not. 750 million people, more than the United States population, doubled, believe in something that is not the big religions, which is just kind of an incredible statistics. Goodness, my stuttering. All right, the last religion or non-religion is the unaffiliated. It is a huge portion, 15% almost, of the total population we have going on. Again, there's a lot of notable figures, but this is the belief of non-belief, right? So it is significant. It is a huge portion of the population that don't believe in anything, and it is worthy to be talked about. If you go ahead and look at the map, China has a huge population of non-religious people. You have North Korea, the Czech Republic, which was crazy to me. Again, America has a little bit, Canada has a little bit, Europe itself has a little bit, and there's just pockets everywhere across the whole entire world, except kind of significantly India, which has 1 million religions, and the Middle East and Northern Africa. All right, I wanted to talk about population growth. So these are the estimated percent changes in population size from 2015 to 2060, except for Sikhism. But Muslims, Islam, is supposed to grow by 70%. That's crazy. Christians, 34%. Hindus, 27%. Jews, 15%. Folk religions, 5%. Unaffiliated, 3%. Buddhists, -7%. So they're the only one that is supposed to shrink. It's probably due to China themselves Population is shrinking, so they're probably just losing people that way. But from my point of view, I think it's wicked that we're actually still growing. More people are going to be religious in the future than they are now. I wanted to talk about all of the origins and the origin dates. So if you look at the dates, it's kind of significant that we have a couple in the BC, I guess 3, right, with Hinduism, Judaism, and Buddhism. And then we have the newer religions of Christianity and Islam coming through, and Sikhism growing as well. So just, that's kind of interesting to see the different timelines of them all. Just as crazy is the origin locations. So Judea spawned 2 different religions, Judaism and Christianity. And then just down the road, not just down the road, but fairly close by, Islam started up, and they're in Saudi Arabia. So just the Middle East, especially that area, created the 2 most populated religions and 3 of the biggest. Flip side, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Sikhism all started in the Indian subcontinent, but just these 2 locations spawn the largest religion factions that we have in the world today. And again, we do have those folk religions that are everywhere, but the most significant religions all kind of stem from a similar area. Just kind of wild. I wasn't trying to make any point. I wasn't trying to go about it in any ethical or moral route in this video. Really just trying to look at all of the data that we have with population and area, and kind of paint a little bit of picture of context of where these religions are, just how old they truly are, and just a little bit of information here throughout. This information is extremely shallow, and the numbers are not 100% accurate, right? I rounded up to make things a little bit easier to understand with the dates and the populations, just kind of give you a broader understanding of everything and how it all kind of interacts together. But we're going to get into the more nitty-gritty as time goes on, but I really wanted to make this video just so we were all on the same page of where these religions are, where they come from, who goes ahead and, celebrates them, believes in them, and practices them. Right. Other than that, I hope you have a great day. I hope that you learned something. Love y'all. Toodaloo.
All right. So, welcome to Spiritual Sunday. What